Trumpeters. Who is this a must-win for, Coach?
To me, this is a must-win for Jacksonville, but it's really a must-win for Nick Wright.
Ooh.
And here's why. His love for the Prince is well documented, but then we went through this phase where he stopped loving the Prince.
Coach, you're absolutely right.
Hold on a second.
No
you don't have to respond. This is my turn. I watched
even up
on
for
a
debate.
TikTok or an Instagram or something behind the scenes where you traded the dude away, the Trumpeteers away for virtually nothing. You literally sold low. So now they get hot again and everything's excited and you've got no Mahomes and you've got no Kansas City and you're hitting the blonde wig. So now if they win,
Josh, get him to his corner. This is getting,
if they win,
on fire.
Nick gets to, bow up again and drop some banners.
Okay. Coach, I supported you a moment ago. You're totally
that was a mistake.
You're totally
What's wrong with your win?
First of all,
Playoff.
I never
Playoff must win.
I never abandoned Trevor. However, during the dog days of the Doug Peterson era, we did have two separate bosses fly into town and give us a presentation that the point of it was, here are all the shows on sports TV that don't talk about the Jags, and it was every show that existed, and here's you guys, you have to stop. So that, and
But
I
I'm
was
the bad guy.
Right, and I was trying to do KW a favor with the Trumpeteers. However, to respond to Coach Fully, not only is this not a must-win for me, it's a can't-lose for me. Because while, yes, obviously, I'm the Jags and Trevor Lawrence guy, I'm also the only person on this show for 2 years that has said that Buffalo Bills team is championship caliber. That the only team in the AFC I believe in more than the Bills is the Chiefs, and they're in a bit of a down year. I don't know if people have noticed. With that said, this is obviously a must-win for Josh Allen.
All right, I want to delve into this topic. I was initially planning to create a piece focused on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, but a recent segment from a prominent commentator has genuinely reinvigorated my perspective. I believe he's speaking a fundamental truth here. They've alluded to this dynamic before, essentially being told, you need to dial back the Jacksonville Jaguars coverage. The audience isn't there for it. The commentator stated it plainly, and I'm just reflecting on that admission. This isn't some conspiratorial deep dive or an expose, it's a direct acknowledgement from within the media ecosystem. That revelation is both inspiring and frustrating for me. It's frustrating because it contradicts a core principle I believe in. If you build it, they will come. If you dedicate time to discussing a team, if you provide compelling reasons why their story is important, if you educate the audience on the narrative worth following, then people will engage. They will come. Now, I've had to navigate this myself with the Jacksonville Jaguars fan base. I've produced Jaguars-focused content that initially saw limited traction. My approach is consistent. I encourage viewers to subscribe and watch videos in full. When that happens, engagement skyrockets. Views surge, subscriptions climb, especially when those actions happen simultaneously. I constantly reiterate, this isn't purely a chase for metrics. Obviously, as a creator, I desire viewership and growth. I'm human, but the deeper aim is to generate content people genuinely want to consume and debate, fostering real, unbiased football conversations. My aspiration is to reach a point where I can produce a Jaguars analysis piece without hesitation, knowing there's an eager audience ready to dissect it with me in the comments. However, if a video garners minimal attention, I face a practical reality. I record these myself. My time and creative energy are finite. I want to make videos that spark discussion. So if I'm forced to choose between, say, one final video on the Bills or one on the Jaguars, the calculus is clear. I know the Bills video will attract viewers and dialogue. The data supports that. Yet, because I possess a genuine love for the sport, for nuanced conversation, and for variety, I often find myself wanting to spotlight the Jaguars. I just published a comprehensive take on Josh Allen and the Bills, arguing why this playoff game isn't a must-win for him. I could easily produce a follow-up, and it would perform. But there's a pull toward the less traveled path. This is where the irony becomes palpable. When I make my earnest pleas for subscriptions and full view watches, some dismiss it as chasing views. If I were solely chasing views, I'd produce another Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills video every single time. I am acutely aware that a Jaguars-centric video carries a significantly higher risk of limited reach. And yet, I still feel compelled. No, I want to make this video. Especially when the topic transcends a simple game preview and enters a meta discussion about media coverage itself. That gets my adrenaline flowing. I am a steadfast believer in the build it philosophy. You must give people a reason to care. You must articulate why a team like the Jaguars is fascinating, why their journey merits our collective attention. I understand the general public's perspective, the masses that major media outlets primarily serve. There isn't an inherent visceral excitement about watching the Jacksonville Jaguars for the casual observer. I often reference the mom test. My mother knows who Patrick Mahomes is. She recognizes the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens. She may not name the coaching staff, but she understands the spectacle. When I watch various games with my elderly parents, my mom will ask, "Who are we rooting for this time?" It's endearing. But with the Jaguars, I have to provide context. This is Trevor Lawrence. This is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have a new head coach. She requires no such primer for the Eagles, Bills, Ravens, or Rams. "Oh, that's Matthew Stafford. Married to so-and-so, has all those daughters," she'll say. She knows nothing about Trevor Lawrence. But if you consistently talk about them, if you frame their story, people will start to listen, discuss, and invest. You simply have to give them that entry point. Of course, the team itself must also hold up its end of the bargain, winning and competing. Last season, I was a vocal advocate for the Washington Commanders and a believer in Jaden Daniels. Unfortunately, his injury this season and the team's struggles naturally limited the substantive conversation. What am I to analyze? The nuances of Marcus Mariota's play on a non-contending team? When there's no playoff implication and the franchise quarterback is sidelined, the discussion plateaus. But the moment news breaks, like Cliff Kingsbury's dismissal, or when Jaden Daniels returns, the dialogue reignites. I'll be there for it because I still believe in that franchise and its quarterback. This is precisely the juncture where the Jaguars find themselves. They are in an enviable, ascending position. Win this playoff game, and the narrative changes irrevocably. No executive could then instruct a commentator to stop talking about the Jaguars. Victory forces you into the spotlight. You become undeniable. It's an exhilarating prospect, albeit with inherent pressure. In many respects, you could argue this is more of a must-win for the Jacksonville Jaguars as a franchise and for Trevor Lawrence's defining narrative. I've frequently defended the trajectory of his career, contextualizing his early challenges. However, my personal view diverges here. I consider Josh Allen an elite, special talent. I also believe his current supporting cast and coaching situation are inferior to what the Jaguars possess. Jacksonville, in my estimation, has a better overall roster and a more cohesive coaching structure under Liam Cohen. Therefore, if the Jaguars lose this game, it will likely be because Josh Allen delivered a transcendent performance. Sometimes you simply get out-dueled by greatness. Consequently, I do not view this as a must-win for Josh Allen. If he loses here, the critique should be muted. What more did you expect him to do against this caliber of opponent? Conversely, for the Jaguars, the "it's only year one" argument under a new coach holds less weight for me at this stage of Trevor Lawrence's career. For a young quarterback truly struggling, or in his literal second season like Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson, I grant immense leeway. That's a year one situation within a new system, warranting patience. Trevor Lawrence is now a veteran with significant experience. When you have the coach, the roster, and the opportunity, it's time to deliver. It's time to rise to the occasion. This contrast makes the matchup profoundly compelling. I can envision either outcome. I will also relish the narrative fallout regardless of the winner. Whichever team falls short, I'll be prepared to defend its honor against the inevitable reactive takes, a role I admittedly cherish. If Trevor loses and the "see, they weren't legit" chorus swells, or if Josh Allen loses and the playoff choker label gets dusted off, I'll be ready to engage. Put me in, coach. In real time, as I was preparing this segment, I saw the clip where the commentator declared it a must-win for Josh Allen. My initial thought was, okay, this will be a Bills-centric analysis. But upon scanning the clip, I saw the segue into the Jaguars' coverage dilemma, the notion that they aren't allowed to be discussed extensively. That pivot is what inspired this entire reflection. And to the Jaguars fans who critique my pronunciation, it's an accent. What can I say? Jaguars. There we go. I genuinely don't understand why more people don't grasp that a broader, more varied league is better for everyone. Having more teams in the contender conversation, more quarterbacks on the marquee, creates richer narratives and includes more fan bases in the celebration. We want less of the perennial dysfunction. Imagine a revitalized New York Jets team, the energy that would bring to the national conversation. I understand Jacksonville may not command that same metropolitan media gravity, but to ignore their legitimate ticket to the party? I fundamentally disagree. Having felt overlooked myself, I have a strong desire to advocate for these fan bases and teams. Consider this. You're a fan of a smaller market team like the Jaguars or Panthers. Your team makes the playoffs. You're thrilled, eager to hear them analyzed on the major platforms. You tune in, and the discussion is entirely about what went wrong for a superstar on an eliminated team. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson's shortcomings. Instead, the conversation should be, let's talk about what went right for Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's where the focus deserves to be. This dynamic played out last year with the Commanders and Bears. Caleb Williams in Chicago, as a massive market story, absorbed the oxygen. The narrative became what went wrong for Caleb, rather than what went right for Jaden Daniels. In many ways, that presented a perfect opportunity for voices like mine to exist in that space, to provide that alternative focus. This is the media landscape. Commentators openly discuss putting the media on blast. Yet the systematic undercoverage of teams like the Jaguars should be a prime exhibit. That's my stance. Win or lose, I'm energized by this matchup. Many playoff games stress me out because I'm emotionally invested in several teams, particularly in the stacked AFC. Knowing teams I believe in will eliminate each other is tough. Initially, the Jags-Bills pairing felt like a lose-lose. My perspective has shifted to a win-win. Every plausible outcome feels justifiable. There's no result that would feel inherently wrong or inexplicable to me. The explanation, in my view, will always be clear. Either Josh Allen's brilliance prevailed, or the Jaguars' more complete team and coaching structure carried the day. That clarity is why it feels like a positive, regardless. Finally, I don't believe the commentator fabricated the directive about limiting Jaguars talk. If it were a joke, I doubt the network executives would appreciate being its fictional subject. These platforms are unapologetically ratings-driven, as they should be from a business perspective. Another major host has been candid about this. I chase ratings. Why do you think I talk about the Dallas Cowboys so much? He acknowledged that football is America's top sport, and the Cowboys have its largest fan base, so a significant portion of his content logically revolves around them. I respect the honesty. However, that commercial reality doesn't mean you should abandon or severely minimize the other compelling stories. Ignoring segments of your audience rarely ends well, a lesson observable in many facets of modern life over the past decade. So, I see you, Jacksonville Jaguars fans. I hear you. I'm discussing your team. Those are my reflections. I am genuinely eager to hear yours. What do you think about the game, the media attention, the entire conversation? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. Whether you agree or disagree, let's dive into discussion, even spirited debate, but ultimately, let's enjoy the exchange. Please consider subscribing. We are building a fantastic community here and would love for you to join. My aim is to create a space where we feel authentically connected and excited to participate. I believe we're well on our way. Also, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it genuinely helps with visibility and the platform's algorithm. Thank you so much. Until next time.